saw Martha walking in.
Okay, Dave is not going to be here today.
And Rick isn't going to be here either.
Excuse me?
Rick isn't going to be here either.
He's having surgery.
He has having surgery today. Jen is downstairs. She'll be up here in a minute, I think. So I finished that one application, and I finished my second one. I'm going to hand them in.
Okay, great.
You reviewed 2 applications?
No.
We're being recorded.
Oh, that's right. Oh.
Looks like we have a quorum.
I think we're quorum.
So we could approve the minutes?
The third.
Tom, do you want to call the meeting?
Yes. Okay, it's 12:02, and we will call the meeting to order.
Motion to approve the minutes.
I was here last meeting. I'm not listed as absent or excused.
Okay. So we'll add Dennis to the minutes. To the attendance. What do we do now? Second?
Make a motion that we accept the meeting minutes as written with the addition of Dennis's name as an attendee.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on that? Did anybody else see Dennis here?
I did. Call a vote on that, Tom?
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay, the rubric. The rubric for the community investment grant. I have copies. Oh, this is the final.
Yeah, is that the one you sent us?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you sent it out as final.
Yeah, okay.
Incorporating all the comments.
All right. I think it looks great.
I just have one question about in the list that starts with proposal claims. What's the difference between other pandemic relief received related to this proposal? Oh, okay. One is proposal related and then the other is more general.
Organization related.
Okay,
yeah.
got it. Thank you.
Okay. So the idea is that each of the evaluators will get this Excel spreadsheet with multiple tabs, and each tab will be a different application that they're reviewing, and then they can put all their comments and notes in there and submit it that way. Okay? So I don't know if we've developed the process of figuring out who is reviewing which.
I think Martha's in the building, so maybe when she arrives, she can address that.
Okay. What's begin calibration of tool? What is that on the agenda?
Are we going to go through and use a sample one to test it out? Is that what you meant?
I think she did that on
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, she did that.
So
I had done one previously on the other.
I think the idea is to see the quote-unquote application that you calibrated so that we could see what a 4 looks like or what a 2 looks like.
I see what you're saying. Okay, well, there was no application that calibrated. I was just making sure the numbers were, that Excel added up, right? I mean, the one change we did make is I think we added something since the last meeting so that the possible score is 50. I think it's like 47, which would be a really pain in the neck too.
The highest score is 50.
The highest score is 50.
So perhaps if I mean, we don't have to mention the organization name now, but perhaps if, Jen, we have a community initiative grant in early, we can take the one, early one, or a early one, and all work on that together as a calibration.
Depending on who
Yeah.
it is.
Right,
We
right.
have 4 community initiative grants that have been submitted to date, with at least 10 more in the works that people have told me about, at
I
least.
have 3.
That's great.
Bill has 4,
I know,
I have 3, Mary's got a
Yeah, I think
couple.
there's going to be plenty of community initiative grants.
They're all gonna come pouring in,
On the
this
deadline.
Monday.
Yeah.
week. On Monday, yeah.
Which
They're-
Somebody predicted that.
Yes.
We all did. Mary and I, who've only done it on the tip.
I think Mary.
Grant writers in the room have done it, have predicted it, yeah. Okay. How about the other, the economic recovery grants? How many have we received?
18.
That's great.
That's
So I did print out the ones that we
That is
have so
great.
far.
That is good.
18?
18, and I got literally 5 today, so.
Great.
13 yesterday, and I have
That tells
18
me
today.
that
And you're gonna get more than that before the end of the week, so you're gonna have in the 20s, low 30s probably.
At least. And we also had, if that part of the agenda, we had 3 people make a request who were completely ineligible. One from Washington State, one from North or South Carolina, and one from Middletown, Connecticut. And George responded to each one of those to tell them that they were ineligible.
They're very nice, these are very nice applications.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, they are geographically not fit.
So I'm trying to figure out how the Washington State person, I mean, well, whatever. They get the information on the internet.
Probably trolls,
Google,
Yeah.
right?
yeah, probably trolls,
Yeah,
state
and we also
town
got,
websites.
yeah, and we got like an email in the beginning, like, we're gonna add you to our database of grant opportunities, and I'm like, well, go right ahead. Because you can't stop that.
Oh, so they're probably a broker for writing grants and doing
Yeah,
something
that
like
could
that.
be.
That's probably what they are.
So, oh, and then here are the 4 that we have for the community initiative. So right now, 2 of them are town departments and 2 of them are outside agencies. What was the second one?
So Jen, this list is as of
As
of
today?
5 minutes ago.
Okay, great.
Yeah, 2 of them.
Yeah.
The second one that came into Fresh Air is a gentleman who installs splits. He's a businessman, and he thought he could use some money to give people initiative to assist with putting in a unit in your house to reduce your energy costs.
So in essence, that his business would be the public service.
So it's like
That's
a
these 2.
heating system in your house to replace your oil or your
Oh.
electric, however you heat
Heat
your
pump
house.
thing, yeah.
Oh,
I didn't get, oh, there you go, that's the one I'm looking for.
Again, I anticipate, especially the community initiatives, to get at least a dozen more, if not more than that, over the next
Yeah,
couple of
so I
days.
think we'll be in good shape.
Yeah.
Remind me, the deadline is Monday.
Monday at 4, I think it was,
Okay, and the
4 or 5.
business, yeah, 4 PM?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably says it on the application somewhere.
it does.
So did we not need a banner?
No.
With the comments on the email?
Well,
I think we're talking.
I
We
think-
can discuss that. I think it's not the community initiative, I think it's the businesses that we haven't heard from. And you can look at that list of 18 and compare it to the people who got PPP loans, or compare it to that list I gave you from the assessor that has probably 200, 300, 400 on it.
I thought this was the 700.
I can't remember how many were on that list.
Well, not a line, but,
Oh, okay.
The list of the, from the assessor.
oh, from the assessor, oh, yeah.
Because as Cheryl's mentioned before, it's like one person businesses,
Right,
you know?
Well over 100 old-line businesses got the PPP.
Got the PPE.
Yeah.
So,
So, I mean,
it would
whether
be
we
nice,
want to
I
talk
think it
about...
might be worth having in Selectmen's newsletter on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Final mention that they're due Monday by 4 PM.
because I've mentioned it to 4 or 5 businesses that are
Right.
have not applied, so they know about it.
Are there, on the PPE list that I saw was, .gov, so, public knowledge, but I don't remember whether there were email addresses on,
I don't remember seeing any on the PPP.
right.
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention at that time to if that was
Yeah.
there.
I wouldn't go there.
No,
I mean,
Okay.
they've gotten so much we've done so much outreach, I just feel like we've done our due diligence, and if people aren't paying attention, we can't help that.
It's people have different attention spans and ways of taking in information, and it sounds like the people we're missing are the people who need a conversation.
That we don't have the resources to have, yeah.
I mean, if you want to go around to
No, that's
businesses,
okay.
I don't. I can't.
Like I just said, I went
Well,
to,
as did Rick.
yeah, four or five businesses I went in and
As did
I actually
Yeah.
sat folks down and said, you know, this may be something you want to consider. Here's basically skeletally how it works.
And these are just ones that you thought might
Businesses that
benefit?
traveled through, people that I thought
That you work?
had a shot.
Also, Lenny came in yesterday to pick up some to bring down to Townview businesses, so thank you for doing that. And, you know, he has some ideas that he said to me about why people aren't applying or why they're not getting the message.
Well,
you
if you
know.
look at, I mean, the list is pretty broad and all of it.
Yeah.
That gives me good feeling.
Yeah.
And also, we were appointed based on some of our interests and capacity, so that's the area that I targeted when I went out with people. Particularly, for example, the fire department, or the police department. But also, when we dropped off posters and such, I took the opportunity to meet with those folks there to explain.
I kept one in my truck to remind me when I was doing something totally unrelated.
Right.
To kind of, you know.
Did they sound receptive at the time?
All of them sounded
Yeah.
very receptive. Yes, I'm going to do this. Yes, this is something that I would like to do. And at that point, like Mary
Right.
said, you've sort of done your due diligence.
Right, yes.
You need to let go of the wheel, and
You pretty
Yeah,
much,
and you know what? We might get slammed.
you're going to get.
We could.
So,
I can think of 3 or 4 that will probably more, and if that's true, around the table-ish.
Yeah, I've talked to 3 or 4. I'm surprised they're not on the
Right.
list.
Same.
Yeah.
It could be they're just gathering paperwork
Yeah.
and financial information.
the deadline is Monday, they're not late.
you're not late.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Let's see what that looks like Monday at 4 o'clock. Yeah.
We have a meeting at 3:55.
Everybody, surprise, evaluate these.
Thinking no.
I think it's encouraging too. I'm
Yeah.
actually more than I thought there would be,
Yeah.
honestly.
For a while
We
there,
have
I
so many
thought-
nonprofits on here, on this list of 18.
Yes, about a third, I would say.
Yeah.
You can see when they came in, I put the date. so you can see
Yeah,
how-
no, I can see they're escalating.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
And some come email, some come hard copy. I scan everything or forward everything immediately to George, so he has it. Some days I'm like, sorry, George, for the 5th email, but I know he wants to get them as they come in. So, and he's been very, very, very responsive to me and to the people from Washington State and everybody else, so.
Across the country. he's been
Across the country, he's doing his job.
So that's good news.
Very good.
Is Soundview the only beach application we're likely to get?
That one just came in today, and there's going to be another one coming in from Miami Beach
Yep.
in conjunction, together with the town about the crib.
Okay,
So we're going to be seeing that because I've been in touch with a guy from Miami Beach, and Phil has as well. So, and that's kind of like a joint project. In fact, Dan asked me from Miami Beach, should I check nonprofit or town? Because, and I'm going to tell him check both in that case because it really spans.
And just so you're aware, Carrie Clout Environmental, the town has, contract with Carrie. Carrie does all the beach cleaning, so that can be considered beach. Shoreline Churches Beach, Old Mud Pizza Palace, so certainly beach, Sound Beach is the beach.
Easy Mini Mart would be the beach area, right?
Yeah, Easy Mini Mart.
There is that?
It's the 4th one down.
Yes. Yeah. So I think there's good representation.
Yeah, and I think you're going to see it creep up next week a lot.
Yeah.
And
Creep up?
what holds true on the other side, you'll see that creep up by a...
Will there be more than 4 from the town?
Yes.
Oh, yes, there's going to be numerous.
From the town itself, I'd say, another half
I bet
dozen.
there'd be a dozen,
Yeah.
total, that I've heard of, yeah.
Animal control, parks and rec, facilities, social services, infotech, ADA, and possibly more than that. Oh, the assessor is going to give us one as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Are you putting one in for youth services? That's not here.
It's not here, right.
It'll be in the last.
She was going to
You'll be
wait.
in on Monday.
She was going to wait till the last day anyway, just to make sure that her prediction was right.
And Rob, what about the churches? I mean, Shoreline Church is on there. Do you think the other 3 or 4?
No, I think that they are? Oh, great, because they never responded to my inquiries, but that's okay.
Thank you for letting me know that.
Yeah, that's great.
As a church, so.
Yeah, so, Congregational Church and St. Anne's, I had a conversation with them, and they indicated they did not have any extra inquiries from their members regarding their needs. So I encourage them to apply. Both Steve and Anita were disappointed, I think it's fair to say, that the affordable housing, which is something they're very interested in, appeared so low in the survey. But I said, well, the survey was survey, yeah.
The affordable housing, you folks reached out to me as well.
Yeah. We're expecting an application from them.
Yeah.
Right, and when you say affordable housing, the commission.
The commission, yeah.
Well, I'm going to let them know that.
Yes, please.
They would.
And if they wrote something in support of that,
Yes.
from the church, would be certainly not harm their position.
That is not the kind of thing that we asked for, is it though?
No, we didn't ask for it.
No, we didn't ask for a support letter.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, if they looked for, if that was something.
I should let them know in so much as maybe they can come up with something in that category in the next.
Right.
Yeah, I hesitate to say too much about it until the actual application comes in.
Okay.
They kind of proposed something that made me think. I'm like, oh, I have to think about this. And she kind of was running it by me to see.
Is that okay to say that though? That's not really public.
They were expecting that. We've had inquiries from.
They've made a public comment that Affordable Housing Commission is submitting a grant application.
Didn't they send an email or a letter? We got some kind of communication from Michael Foliano.
I think it's in the news
Yes, to
too.
Tom. I think it went to Tom.
Yes, we got, the chairman of the Affordable Housing Commission, Michael
Great,
Foliano.
thank you. They'll be happy.
So, let's hope it's here by the deadline.
Yeah.
So are there any concerns with the rubric again? Because this is the last call.
We did it, yeah, this, I think this thing works.
I think it's very solid.
I think it works.
Okay.
Between the meetings,
Applying it.
and the last time we were together collectively here, I think it's come out great.
I think it's important to note that, and I really thank Mary for that, she put reviewers' comments in various boxes, options. And I think that's going to be really key when you're evaluating several proposals. That'll kind of help clarify some questions or look for some uniformity across the different applications. If we do come up with some ties, for example, that we may have that issue. So we'll have to address that. And I think that's the problem. The one I was concerned with, I wanted to see that, was the application score, see how people felt about that last part. That kind of gives the reviewer some, an opportunity to consider the amount of funding.
But it's non-binding, right?
No. Yeah, someone could get a low score and still recommend 100%.
The whole thing is an individual rubric. Of course, it will go into the
Folder.
documentation, right, the overall documentation. This is where you as a reviewer can, take your experience with knowing the act and the intention of the act and the needs of the town, in particular your expertise, and you have some input, not scores, it's just your input on the outcome of funding. So it's kind of important.
Yeah, because you're the one that, whoever reviews it is the one with the hands-on. And they may achieve a high score, but somebody may think, the reviewer may think, based upon the intent of the act and some other things, that maybe it's not as critical as the one that has the lower score and seems to meet a greater need.
Right.
So will there be any
It's subjective.
second review?
Potential.
Yeah, that's what I would.
Well, I think there should be multiple people reviewing it,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I envision it being a team, 2 or 3 people reviewing each application private, separately.
And then
And then we're going to, hopefully, when we have this major, longer meeting,
All day.
then that team of 3 would present to the entire group. Like, here's our recommendations.
But this will give us a score,
Yeah.
but we also have the 11 categories, and we have a score from the survey. How do we harmonize the score from the rubric
Good
with
point.
the survey?
Right.
That's the next thing we have to tackle, I think. But first, I think we needed to,
Right, because we haven't even figured out how much money George is allocating.
Right. We know that there's $10,000 ceiling. We don't know how many of those $10,000 ceilings we're gonna do,
Right.
or we haven't picked an arbitrary number that says, okay, well, they get half of the money, a third of the money, you know.
Liver,
Right,
whatever.
we also agreed we wouldn't go up to 10,000
Right.
for everyone,
Right.
based on what they request.
Well, I mean, I think once we decide what his total pot is, we can take his recommendations and adjust it
Right, to meet
accordingly.
that, to meet that. Yeah.
So,
And then once we do all that, there's a reallocation potential of saying, well, we could go more than 10 because we haven't spent it all. Or there's a couple of things where the beach wants, 10 million.
Yeah.
So there's some that are so big that they could get everything that's left after we've
Right,
done
one.
all the reallocation.
Yeah.
So we've got to decide, do we make it more inclusive and give everybody a little more, or do we more fully fund a really monster one that'll take everything?
I'm kind of shooting from the hip here, but my thought process is leading me to think the economic recovery one, we keep it capped at $10,000.
Yeah.
And then the incentive one, the community incentive or community one, at that point, you would wanna, you might be able to adjust numbers, you know, in that category. That would be where I would focus.
Mm-hmm.
Only because these folks knew going in that it was gonna be capped at $10,000. These folks, we put the variable in this to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think in that sandbox, maybe the numbers could be adjusted. And if we give everybody what they want, except for the 10 million to do the beach, we may want to go back and look and see what the total cost of their project was, and bring them in and have another discussion about it.
But are all those larger projects coming in as community initiatives?
Some of them, I think they are.
Well, if they're town-based
Yeah.
projects, they would come in under that.
they have to.
I mean, we're not having, are we looking at our community initiatives and our economic recovery, seeing what's left over, and then there are other projects outside of that process?
No, I don't think
Yeah,
so.
okay, all right, yeah. So to Dennis's point, I think if someone's got a large, $10 million project or something, that should be coming in under community initiatives.
Right, and the big ticket items, like he said, like he said, like what I talked with Phil, are the crib at Miami Beach and the sewers.
Mm-hmm.
And the sewers is the town together with the private beach associations. Yeah.
Okay.
They're asking for money from other places too,
Mm-hmm.
not just from us.
yeah. The other thing is we've only received half the tranche, so we have to
Right.
acknowledge that we have $1 million in the bank right now. $1 million.
When does the second tranche come? Tranche? June. June, July.
But we can allocate the 2.1, recognizing it's two tranches.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was the plan, but I think if we have to remind the public that.
This is cash flow.
Martha,
I'm sorry, I was late.
that's okay. Regarding the process for the community initiative grants, did we have questions about how we were getting allocated these grants?
But we
or-
were just kind of talking about how assigning reviewers to which ones and how many per application and how we're going to present those scores and comments to the group as a whole. And, just that whole process hasn't been fleshed out yet, so.
Do we want to wait and see how it plays out, like in terms of how many applications we get before we decide that? Because,
I was hoping that next week, by next week, we'll.
yeah, we'll know by next week.
Right, yeah, we'll have them all in.
That's true.
Yeah, it's a little
You know the size of the-
abstract right now to think about how you're gonna.
Yeah, and I was also thinking, like, for myself, like, I've been, like, not advising people, but people are coming to me with questions here in the town, and I'm like, wait a minute, if I'm telling you, I probably can't judge that application, so.
We
really have to be conscious of that and see what comes through. So I could do arts and tourism, maybe, and Cheryl could do town department. I mean, like, we just have to look at how many come in under each.
Right, and then you know the size of the hill you're trying to climb.
Yeah, exactly. So we can determine that next week.
Okay, that's fair.
We don't want to, I almost hesitate to say this, do we want to consider an extension of the deadline?
No.
No.
Worship the deadline.
Worship the deadline.
Whatever it takes to make the deadline.
All right.
I'll work all night.
I think Dennis has beach plans for July 1st.
No, it's kind of nice to set a target out there and pick it off.
I think that if there weren't any applications, we might be forced to visit that, but we have applications and lots of info that more are coming, I think.
Yeah, and I'm looking at our discussion over the banners. Right now, the banners, so what? I think we're going to have plenty of applications, and I think we've done a pretty good job.
And no extensions beyond the deadline. Right?
No extension. Well, yeah, and I think we're going to be shocked next. You're going to be shocked next week.
I will.
When we have to shovel you out of your office.
We might get another 50. Who knows?
I can go back in today, and there could be 5 more.
Yeah.
People drop them off during the day.
Yeah, and I know 3 people told me in the last 3 days that they're all dropping theirs off.
Yeah, so we all have,
Recovery
we all said
or
that.
community initiative?
I think, some are both.
Okay.
What might be helpful, Jen, this list that you gave us of the 18, it might be helpful now to take this list as you get them and just check off which of the 11 categories they fall in.
Well, that would be community initiative, not economic recovery.
Right, community initiative, right.
Yeah, 4.
So,
I can add that as like a rubric on the spreadsheet. Sure.
because I feel like that may assist us to determine,
Sure.
like, I'll read all the ones that fall into which a particular category, or something like that, or maybe not, but, there's certain ones I can't read, and so that might help us divvy it up next week.
And if they're in multiple categories,
they will be.
list that they're in multiple categories.
Yeah.
Okay, I will do that.
That would be great, because that's the first filtration tool, to kind of call that stuff and see where it goes.
Okay.
And I guess we're going to say that this speaks the need and can be printed or produced
Oh, yeah.
for the reviewer in a workbook fashion for the reviewer.
Oh, electronically, you mean?
Electronic, I think will do it.
Yep.
Mhm.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, Mary.
Yeah,
thanks.
thank
George
you.
is included in the 18, or don't we have George's here?
George's are the 18,
Yeah.
the 4,
That
He's
is
been
George.
getting
that
those.
is George.
Gotcha.
But Jen here put the list together before sending them to George.
Right, but George also has reached out to me already this week to make sure that we have the exact same numbers and
Yeah.
just
So
the email.
this one is economic recovery
Yeah.
applications.
Yeah.
The shorter list is the,
I would have titled this, but I ran out of time.
Jen, is there a time that I can use with you before I leave on my day to put together these applications?
Sure.
So that we might start the divvying process on Wednesday?
Yes. I have, they've been coming in maybe half and half, printouts and electronically, maybe. It's hard to say exactly, but it's not all one or all the other. So some of them have the packet done, boom, it's right there because they printed it out and handed it to us. Other ones we have to print out multiple.
I think
Oh,
really.
you want printout?
I think the best way to do it would be to convert every single one to a PDF.
Well, I've been doing that too.
And then when you tell me, Mary, you're going to read 8, 17, and 21, and send me those as a PDF.
Yeah, that's probably.
With
put
my
it in
rubric
iBooks or
as
something.
an Excel spreadsheet and paperless.
Yeah.
Because,
Yep.
I have to scan them and send them to George, the economic recovery ones, and we only have 4 community initiative ones so far. So.
yeah, I think scanning them, and
Okay.
that's how we would store them. That's why I'm thinking that it would be helpful if you had little X's next to them for the,
Yeah.
what
Category.
category they fit in.
Yeah.
If you need help scanning, Alice.
Okay. My biggest help has been problem has been paper jams in the copy. And people stapling stuff in the middle of a packet.
It was already stapled, all they did was attach it.
Yeah, exactly.
Martha, what time is your Board of Selectmen meeting on Monday? Is it 4 or?
5:30.
So are you going to want from Jen, like the final, we have 35 economic recovery and whatever to report at that meeting, or?
Yeah, at that meeting, we'll just update is that May 2nd? Is that our date?
Yeah, May 2nd, Monday.
So as a close of business at the
Yeah,
town
I mean,
hall,
as
we
far
had
as close as I can get it to you,
Yeah,
because,
as close as we can get it.
Sure.
And say that this is where we are, and that we are in the review process.
Yeah.
And that's all I'm saying.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm just wondering if you're gonna want some
So,
numbers.
we talked about talking today about a timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Are we ready to talk about a timeline?
Mm-hmm.
I am.
worship the timeline, Dennis.
Talk about the deadline, let's talk about the timeline.
We start next Wednesday with the first review.
Yeah, well, I think we assign, at least,
We do assignments.
I think next Wednesday would be assignments of,
But what I think,
Overview.
when I say a timeline is almost working backwards, where we want to be on what date. And,
Right.
Yeah.
and we did talk about scheduling a very long meeting
Yep.
for all of us. where
Right,
we do
which we
like
need
an
to get on our
overhaul.
calendars.
And so maybe we should do that right now, although we're missing a couple people, but.
In my mind, you're going to all do your touring, and then we're having the big meeting.
Correct.
We did talk about a calibration meeting, and we could probably put that remember we talked about possibly calibrating?
Yeah, should we do that Wednesday as part of
Wednesday?
handing out?
well, then we should do that, that should be the
I
second.
know what that means.
I'm not sure I understand what the process.
Okay, so a calibration is that you literally would take one application.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that.
And walk through and say, okay, what do you think you'd give this? Because you want to kind of get everybody on the same page as how would you score this?
I don't know if that's even necessary because the whole idea of having 3 people assigned to one application, you're going to get 3 opinions. And so I think to take one application and have us all discuss it in a meeting, I don't know if that's appropriate. Like, whose application are we, someone's not going to be
Well, I
allowed
would
to.
make up a fake one.
Sure, you did that.
She did that.
No, I just put sample numbers in here to make sure that
Oh,
the
right.
The numbers work.
the Excel spreadsheet added up correctly. I didn't have a legit
I mean, I think that I think we can do it either way. I think to do one sort of anonymously, an actual application, but just make it anonymous, might have some value for some folks. But I think, like you said, if you have 3 people in a room with this tool here, you get to the same place because the group is going to know about it anyway once it's gone through process.
I kind of feel like there may be a middle ground on this. The scoring is generally 0 to 5, in some cases 0 to 2. We might be able to put together a key. We're evaluating it based on our experience too, but maybe we could put together a key that, a 0 is obviously, and a 5 might be walk on water type of thing, just to give some guidance. But I don't think we want to necessarily guide it specifically any more than that, personally. But,
Yeah. All right.
So 0 to 1 could be below expectation. 2 to 3 could be meets expectation. 4 could be exceeds expectation, and 5 could be brilliant.
Outstanding.
Something, yeah. I mean, it's something very simple as a
Well,
guideline.
I think it's a good conversation because in my mind going, just before you spoke, my thought was a 5 was meeting expectations. So I think we do need to have, not necessarily exceeding, meeting expectations, a 5.
But
In education, a 5 would be exceeding and a 4 would be meeting.
Yeah. You have to have something.
You gotta have it exceeding.
Yeah, you gotta
That's
have
why
something
this
that goes
conversation
beyond.
is important.
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it is important. I think that if folks do exceed our expectations, we should note that. So,
But what's
where that sits.
What's our final work product? In my mind, if we had 50 applications from all categories, we'd want a rank order from 1 to 50 for the whole committee saying, here's our first one that we think should be funded in this amount, and number 50, this is the last one that we think should be funded.
I wasn't thinking in those terms at all.
I think there'll be subcategories, because.
By category?
I think it has to be by category.
Yeah, I think they do it by category.
Now, you're talking the 11 categories in our survey?
Yeah.
Or the shorter list?
Or the 4.
The 4 categories. The 4 categories, 2 applications, 4 categories, and then you rank them sort of top to bottom from the folks that.
Not against each other.
No. But what I'm saying is, all of the folks, when you say you get 3 of them in your particular field of endeavor or whatever, and you have a group of 3 folks reviewing them, when you're done, you know, should there be a problem, this is my number 1 choice, this is my number 2 choice, this is my number 3 choice, or they're all number 1.
No, because they're all gonna have a score.
That's
So,
yeah.
out of 50,
All
what's
right,
the minimum to pass?
Right.
Maybe
Well, that's what
29 is the
How many
F, they don't give you
questions
the
are there?
money?
No, there's no S.
Well, there has to be a reason to not give somebody money.
Right, they don't meet the, they don't
I
meet
mean, a 50 is only if you've exceeded all expectations.
Right.
So really, we're looking at
But I'm
like
looking
30.
at the opposite, you know, like what if somebody gets a 15 and we don't give them the money?
I think that's really and truly going to be decided at the large meeting, once you have everything ranked in for. Try not to get too much into the weeds, guys.
I agree.
And I think also there are
Come in, but I've got the weed whacker.
there are organizations that have professional grant writers
Yes, that's
who
true.
have gorgeous writing and
Right.
prose, and
Right.
others that they've never written a grant in their life.
Right.
So we can't judge it all, and that's why this rubric is good.
I agree.
And there are people that are doing this out of the goodness and kindness of their heart for other organizations that they're sort of semi-involved with because they have the time and they said, I'll take it on for you. And
Right.
so they're, you know, working late hours and doing this, and we're just gonna see what
So,
happens.
you know, when you have 3 people reading an application and they come together for the first time and have a conversation about it, so these 3 people could be presenting to the whole group, well, I'm going to tell you about this application, here's what I liked about it, here's what I didn't like about
An
it.
advocate.
Right.
Yes.
But I will also criticize it. And so the 3 people, after having a conversation, might change some of their scores. Well, you're right, that's a
That's
good
right.
point, I'm going to change my score.
Yep.
So I think that we can come up with the final score at the big meeting, whenever that is.
But also,
Yeah.
getting dangerous, are we critiquing the application or the project?
Well, I think the
Really,
project,
the
I think
project behind the application.
the project is paramount.
Right.
Yeah.
But you
But
will,
it's nicely written.
you will.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
But you will have to strip the noise out and the pros and look at the project.
And so that's
ask
what we
your
have to
question.
stay
This
focused
says
on. Is this project worthy?
It's great for the community.
Yeah.
Is it really serving the community, or did it sound real good on paper?
Yeah.
And ultimately, what we get is this.
Is
Yeah.
it what the community needs?
Yeah, and where is the necessity for it?
And can it be carried out? Or are we getting the money given back to us in
Right.
Well, and that's
16 months?
That sounds
Yeah.
Can't be carried out
Right.
within the budget, within the timeline, it's a zero.
Right, yeah.
It doesn't meet expectations. And in getting back, getting back to scoring, if I see that there's a problem where it's like, there's a 50 and there's a 10, then I'm gonna pull somebody else into reading.
But I think that happens at our meeting, like the 15, I don't know, like, are we, I think we need, the timeline has to be pretty specific about what we're expecting, because I don't know if I
Yeah.
want to take all my scores and submit them. I might want to take all my scores and bring them to the meeting, you know, and sit down with the other people who read it and have a conversation.
So I like your idea of backing out the timeline from the
Yeah.
endpoint, but can I just also say, can you have on this rubric what the, you know, a 5 is exceeding
Yeah.
expectation, blah, 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 meeting
Yeah.
expectations, but so starting at the endpoint, I guess that's presenting this to either the Board of Selectmen or the Board of whoever, or the town? What is that? What's our endpoint?
Board of Selectmen.
Okay.
And what's the structure for that presentation? Is it within each of the 11 categories or the 4 categories,
I think
or
it's-
all
I
applications?
can't tell you that until I see
See what
the
you got.
applications lie.
Yeah.
Right.
So if we have 4 and they're all in infrastructure, then that's all they're gonna get. And we're gonna say there was nothing in anywhere else.
Can we just,
That's certainly allowable under the guidelines. We took the grant, the standard allowance. Yep. And we finally got it right.
And we weighted them through the rubric, which category or categories that they met. So that speaks to that, you know, and then as you get to the end, you're right, when you get to the Board of Selectmen in June, you may just come in and say, we have X amount of dollars and it came out this way. And they're in these, all 11 categories and in these 4 subcategories. This is the amount we would like to see you process and cut checks for.
I mean, I'm assuming
I don't know. I think I present because I represent the BOS on it, so I will present to the other two board of selectmen, but I'm planning on building a PowerPoint, and I'm planning on sending it all to you first to say, nope, get rid of that, throw this away, nope, don't do it that way. And I'm fine with that.
And we
So
have to
looking at your calendar, what is a proposed special, if we can get the date that you want, what is the proposed special meeting date for a Board of Selectmen meeting?
Special meeting?
No, it'll be a regular board of
What are you going to do,
selectmen
the first Monday in June?
It'll be the first Monday, June 6th.
meeting.
June 6th?
Yep.
Okay. So we're going to work backwards from that.
Yep.
I think we should,
Yeah.
But you could have a special meeting. We could.
Yeah, if push comes to shove and we're not ready,
That's
June 6th.
awfully early.
Well, I think we start, that's the end point. The next start point for us is next Wednesday.
Well, but we got to work backwards.
You know what I
How
mean?
long does it take to create the PowerPoint?
And how much detail is in this PowerPoint? Not all the detail that's in the application.
It really depends upon
What we get,
how
the
many
heat,
applications.
the heat.
No, but I mean,
Well,
like
you're going to
per
need intro
application.
sheet, you're going to need, the process, you're going to need, here are the 10, whatever,
I think that-
20, 30.
That first week in June is too soon. I think we're giving
I
ourselves a
think so,
deadline.
too.
And I don't
Be
think you want to
rushing.
put this on with a bunch of other stuff on a monthly.
Why
basis,
rush?
right? Okay, well, what was the original charge? Were you supposed to end in June?
End of
June 30.
June 30th.
Right.
Okay, so that we didn't have to report then to the Board of Selectmen until July.
So then we do the first week in July.
Well,
Which, by the way, is
I don't
July
think-
4th, so that we will not be having a meeting on July 4th.
So it'll be the 12th.
Vacations?
It would be the 11th.
11th.
How about if we just aim for something at the end of, I'd kind of like to get this wrapped up.
Yeah, we need it in June.
End of June.
Yeah.
I would
The end of
say.
Yeah.
End of June.
because then we have to send out letters saying you,
What if we said something like June, hope that we could do a special meeting on the 27th?
Okay.
of the Board of Selectmen.
all right, and then you have a week for your PowerPoint. So let's say June 20 is the goal to have a PowerPoint draft.
Okay.
And then in order to have your PowerPoint draft, what do you need done before that? We need our completed list, right?
Right.
All the decisions have to be made.
All
Yeah,
decisions
we
made.
should be assigned, reviewed, and evaluated.
So that should be either maybe the 6th or the 13th?
Well, are we doing it on Mondays or are we sticking to
Well,
Wednesdays or what?
Oh, Wednesdays, okay, yep, Wednesdays.
I mean,
How about June 8th?
well, I would say June 1st.
Okay.
Because then if we need another week, we have the 8th as a
Yeah.
backup. If
All-
we're done on the 1st, great.
Decisions,
Well, June 8th, I will not be around. I
well,
will
we're
be
saying
here for the
June 1
first.
now.
I'm here on the
Decisions
1st,
made.
right? I'm here on the 1st, yes, 2022.
So by June 1, our final list is compiled.
And that's the whole committee, not just the review.
Right.
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 Right. Okay. And then we're.
Okay, now,
So
in order to have,
So June 1st is our big meeting?
no, June
Oh.
1st is when you have a final list and can
Okay.
start building your
So
PowerPoint.
when is our big meeting? 8th?
I think it's the second week after we get our assignments.
We're going to be getting our assignments on.
Next week should be,
And
next
we're going
week.
to need
Yeah.
time to review them. depending
Right,
on how many
that's what
we
I'm
get
thinking.
each.
So I think you get them, if all of your, and correct me if I'm wrong, we'll have everything next Monday. We meet next Wednesday.
Right.
Her chart shows what the categories are. We have the,
We all get our assignments.
so theoretically, we walk away from that meeting next Wednesday with our assignments. Boom, we leave, we review, what's that date? That date is, May 4th, 5/4.
1 week from today.
So we do, come back in a week, or do you want 2 weeks to do the?
I say 2.
Two.
I'd say you want
We
2
need
weeks.
2 weeks.
I'd
So
say you
that's
want,
May 8th.
but, you know what else I think we do? Is we have a meeting the following week, make sure all of the groups show up.
Yeah, I think we think we should
We're
be.
not here. The groups,
Hold on 1 second. We need the plan. We said that we might have to call people for questions.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, are we going to do that as an individual reviewer?
No, I don't think that's, because there's 3 people reviewing an application.
Okay.
I think when we come together as a group, that's when we decide we're going to call so-and-so and find out the answer to that. Because
Right.
once I read an application and I present it to you, you might have a question, you know, that I didn't even have.
Okay, so May 18th would be our big meeting?
So how about May 11th, we decide, are there follow-up questions we need to seek out?
Yeah.
Well,
all right.
We also have to fit in here a presentation by George on who he thinks should get money on that end, but.
Right.
Okay, May 18th, big meeting.
Do we want that sooner or later in the process?
If he sounds
He'll have it done.
Right on top of things.
He'll be, my guess is,
we just won't know how much money we have for him,
right,
right?
yep, he should have his business done.
So maybe May 11th?
Martha?
So I was thinking, if we did our follow-up in George on the 11th,
Yeah,
and I can reach out to him
Okay.
tonight and say, could you be ready by the 11th? I'll just make sure that he feels comfortable with that. I mean, he may have travel, and I don't want to throw him for a loop.
That's May 11th, right?
yeah.
Last week, he was ready to buy us a banner. He's like, I don't have any applications.
Hang on there, hang in there. We'll find
Okay, so
somewhere.
May 11th, we're getting George's recommendations. Do you think we're voting on George's recommendations to move them forward?
I don't think so. I think we don't know how much money we have for George
Yeah, I
yet.
think.
Okay,
But,
no vote.
so is he coming here to do that, or?
I would strongly
Okay.
suggest that you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then on, 1 week later, on May 18th, we've all done our homework. We all have done our Excel spreadsheets and filled in our comments.
And we know what George has got for us,
Yep.
and we have those.
So that's our big meeting, right? I think we need 2 big meetings.
Well, I think, what I was saying before is depending upon how these get, and again, we don't know until we see the pile, how these get divvied up, it might be beneficial to put us all in the building, but in different
Yeah,
places
yeah.
as groups on that schedule to kind of go through with them so we can all be in the same place at the same
I think we all need to hear everything.
Yes, we do.
I don't think we should divvy up into groups. I think, let's say the whole group is here and the 3 of us have read one application. The 3 of us will have a conversation about the application with everybody hearing it. I mean, it's
Oh,
gonna
okay.
take a long time because then Jen will now finally hear what was in this application.
I'm fine with that. I
Yep, I agree with that.
yeah,
You know, invention convention, the
Yeah.
same issue. You've got about 10 reviewers, and you have to decide who to send to states.
Right.
Some of the other communities, when they do that, they break up into little review groups, but nobody sees all of them.
It's the bigger
We've
picture.
insisted forever that we all see all of
Okay.
them, because you can't decide
I agree.
who the winners are till everybody knows what came in.
I support that big time. I just was concerned when we talked about going into different groups that we would submit a whole package, and then it would be reviewed by the groups. If we can do that in real time,
Yeah.
then we have real value.
I'm looking at the calendar, the town hall calendar, and I note that we don't have any meetings in May on the calendar.
Correct.
But on the 18th, there's a meeting in here, 9 to 11, and a meeting at 5 p.m.
So we can go upstairs in the Legion room. It's
9 to 11 and 5, we meet at noon.
noon, yeah.
Why don't we meet at
This
noon?
is gonna be a long meeting,
Oh, the big one, on the 18th.
Related to that, on where we are,
depending on how good you guys do. We might be done in an hour and a half.
No, we're not.
we also have to determine, is this an executive session?
No.
So can the public come and listen to us talk about their
We don't have to
application?
have public comment, but we've done.
But it's open to the public or
We
not?
don't have to have public comment.
No, that's not what she's
Then
saying.
sit there.
Public is allowed to attend, yes.
Yes.
All right, okay, so if we're upstairs, we don't have this.
What are the
And
2
that's
meetings on the 18th, Mary?
9 to 11,
What are they?
Soundview Operations Committee.
They can meet
Oh,
upstairs.
that's me. And they're not 9 to 11. It's 9. I don't have my.
They always book the room
We
for
just
2
changed-
hours.
We just changed our meeting date, so I don't know if that's.
Okay, but it's 9 to 11 on the calendar.
Yeah.
And then 5 p.m. in here, 5 to 7 is the Affordable Housing Commission.
We're not gonna go past 5.
Yeah.
We're not gonna go past 4. Town hall closes.
Okay.
Okay, so that works.
Or actually, I think if we want to meet that day, I mean, do we want to take the whole day?
Yeah.
We'll say 11 to 4, that's 5 hours.
Depends on how many come in. If it's 100, we do
We
that.
have over,
I think at 12
I
o'clock,
have at least 25. Go ahead.
I think we meet at like 11:30, bring in lunch, and we do this meeting.
Finish it.
And if we schedule it till 5, we schedule the room till 5. And then, if we leave at 3:30, that's great, we're done. But you schedule it out and work through it.
Okay, so
Momentum will be, when the food's gone.
Wednesday, May 18th, 11
I said 10.
to 10, 10 to 5.
I'll put 10 to 5 on the,
But you have an
Don't
office to
worry, I'll
go
just
to.
tell Frank, and I'll just tell him.
Yes,
He
so,
can
Jen,
meet upstairs.
I will contact Michelle.
all these meetings have to get on the calendar.
Yeah.
I'll do that as soon as we.
And can you just shoot requests to the, that's all right.
I honestly think that at that meeting,
To the members of the committee, that's all. Meeting.
Oh, calendar request?
Yeah.
I don't normally do that.
Okay.
I think at this big meeting, we will then figure out what the next steps are regarding allocations into buckets. I don't think we should even try to think about it until then.
Right.
I think you gotta wait and see what you get.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Once we get, I know I've been referring to it as a heap, but once we get all of the applications, and she's got them identified as to what categories they fall in, there can be a rough cut.
And some of this will play out
Right.
naturally.
Yeah. Some of it will become apparent. You do the rough cut, you do the assignments,
Okay.
and then we meet then the next meeting on the
25th.
the 18th, we should have our decisions. So
Our next step, we may not have decisions.
I don't think
Yeah.
we have decisions. I think we have everything reviewed.
everything reviewed, and then the 25th, allocation,
Budget, and perhaps vote on our final list.
yeah, and vote, and then 6/1.
Either final vote, if it wasn't done the week before, all decisions made.
6/1 is decisions, that's right. 6/1 is decision.
You know, on May 18th, we may decide we need to reach out to so-and-so and get an answer to a question.
Yeah.
So May 25th is going to be more of the May 18th probably.
Yeah, but the nice thing about the 18th is if there's two people we have to talk to, it's
Yeah.
not a huge deal. If they-
No.
What is May, so May 18th is the big meeting.
Yeah, May 18th
June
is
1st, we're gonna meet also.
11 to
May
5,
25th as well.
25th. 18th, 25th, and the 1st,
Yeah.
and then the 20th, we have a PowerPoint presentation on the 27th.
We're meeting every week, Jen.
We have a special meeting.
25th and the 1st, Mary?
Yes, but the 25th is a regular noontime meeting.
And so is June 1st?
Yes.
Yes, 12
All of
p.m.
them except for May 18th.
May 18th
Yeah.
is the big kahuna.
So that gives more than 3 weeks for creating the presentation.
Yeah.
Yes. This is good.
Should I mean, pardon?
Okay.
No blue on blue, Martha.
Okay. White on blue, please.
No, black on white.
Black
Black and white.
That's black on white.
Yeah. Get my son.
I used to use orange a lot when I worked for
You don't have to get
DOT.
together and straighten that out.
Gray on top, left
Alright.
yellow.
I will handle lunch for the 18th.
Really?
Yep,
Yeah,
Okay.
lunch.
food will sustain us. Caffeine.
Can I call delivery?
We can talk
So
about that.
caffeine and carbohydrates. Caffeine and carbohydrates are the order of today, and sugar.
Okay. Will the May 11th meeting be?
We have to get them out of town so that nobody's
That's
Wait a
complaining.
minute, I couldn't hear Mary Jo. What's that?
Will the May 11th meeting require more time?
Longish, I think.
I think because George is coming, it will.
Oh, yeah.
Right, can we ask George, if he can give
You can be here.
us a presentation in 1 hour? Like, if we give him an
I
hour?
will reach out to him and say, how long,
Yeah.
because we need to book the room. You book the room, but we'll.
But
And remember, he's giving us a binder, he's gonna have his decisions in there. I'm gonna say to him, I need you to summarize.
Does he give us the binder in advance so we can have questions ready for him? Or does he present it all on that day and then we have questions we have to go back to him?
I think he gives you the binder the day.
Part of the
The
presentation.
day of?
Because he's
Maybe
delivering,
ask him.
he's delivering his product.
Yeah, okay.
And we're gonna, go ahead.
Because otherwise, he would have to make copy, I mean, he'd have to make a copy for himself to keep, I don't want to get into charging Olive and charging paper and all that kind of stuff.
No, I'm just wondering what his process is. Like, he comes in and makes a presentation. How do we become familiar, how familiar do we become with each one of these applications? And what if we have
I
questions?
received it.
Right there, you're not familiar with this. This is why we had George make the decision.
Oh, I know that.
I received 21 applications, a total, not these squat
You don't
problems.
have to know.
What I'm saying, that's something as part of his presentation, he's gonna go through a laundry list.
He's gonna go through his laundry list of what he did, and the only person who gets that binder of stuff, as far as I'm concerned, is Nicole, because that's for her to use, for her reporting information. It is not necessarily for this committee. It's why we hired George, because it's economic recovery for people in this town who have businesses, and it's their to me, that's their private information.
Especially for having a public.
Yeah, and I had 3 that were rejected, I had 2 of this, and that.
And he'll tell us why, and we'll go from there.
And so with this, here's my product, cut me a check, I'm
If
done.
he has an issue with one where he needs a vote on it, he'll let us know. But other than that, that's what we hired him for, was to make the recommendation to us.
No, I totally agree with that. I just know that we had a meeting where we discussed in length this sheet that he was going to use and what we wanted on it, and I'm just wondering, do we see that sheet? What do we see?
No, you will see that sheet.
That's what I mean,
That's
yeah.
what we think the binder has.
Yeah, and
Maybe
so
he can send us.
that's what I'm saying. Are we going to see those sheets before he arrives?
Send us the sheet ahead of time.
I think that is sort of like what we've done for each other on this. I think maybe he could provide that so we can review.
And then I'll tell him that we'll have
We will
questions.
speed up that day when he's here if we've had that.
Yeah.
And again,
I just want to avoid having 2 meetings with George. That's,
I know. I do too.
one and done.
Yeah, I like George, but.
And then there's gonna be other processes that we're gonna think of along the way. So one thing I'm realizing, we're going to need someone, a very simple task, but nevertheless, to come up with an Excel sheet that can be a mailing list. Because we're gonna wanna shoot these letters out as soon as they're approved by the Board of Selectmen, whether you've been approved or not, and here's,
Well,
so there's gonna be
develop
parallel
a form
process.
form letter, you know.
Yeah, we've got to come up with.
Is that our job or the selectmen's job?
I think that we have to start focusing on Nicole too. She needs to come up with some kind of, or we need to come up with some kind of contract or agreement that it's what the town wants from these people. We haven't delved into that.
Yeah.
That's a huge
Okay.
piece that we
That's June.
said that we can.
After or later.
We get to June, we'll do
It
that.
can be simple, but it needs to be whatever you need or we need, but
Right.
particularly.
And that's why we did the attestation thing up front.
Well,
To sort of bind them in, here's what I say I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
And then all we need is a document, that says, you said you were gonna do this by this date, sign here, here, and here for X amount of dollars, after you get your little form.
Hopefully, but I mean.
And then
Nicole
follow up.
Attending these workshops, and she's in the program now, we don't know what we don't know.
Right,
And I think she needs to provide that to us, so we make sure we get that
yep.
from the people we contract for, because these people are gonna be, being followed for a couple of years.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Perfect.
We also may discover,
Not just sense,
we
perfect sense.
may discover that the people that are asking for economic recovery money, they may be spending it in the first 6 months, right?
That money will get spent quickly.
Yeah,
That-
even though I know the deadline.
The community incentive,
I don't think there's any follow-up.
Right.
Until the end of the 2026.
Well, not if it's all spent.
But remember, the people are getting all these businesses may get $10,000.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, there's a follow-up on that one.
nothing.
Somebody close it out, doesn't, by 2026, don't they need to see?
No. Once they get the
Just
$10,000
community initiative.
With the economic recovery, the way I understand it, once we cut the check, if you will, and give them the check, they said they were gonna buy awnings and chairs or whatever they were gonna do.
No, I get that part. but
They're
that's
done.
what I'm talking about. I'm talking about what the town has to report to the Treasury Department in 2026.
That's
So
what it'll report.
My understanding is
is that if once she reports out on that she doesn't need to report out on that again.
She's finished.
That's right. Do an annual report.
Yes.
Yes, it's
but
the same report.
But basically, if you, like, just
It was the streamlining.
that
Right.
40,000 went out in economic.
That wasn't the way it was in the
recovery.
beginning, but
Right.
That 40,000 isn't gonna change from the report
Right.
in 2023.
I totally get that. I just want to make sure that we know what we need to do for the annual report. If it's the same report every year, great. If it isn't, she needs.
And it was also the reason that they came up with the methodology that we took. What was it, the final rule, when they came up with the final rule, we took my brain is. Standard deduction.
Right.
We took the standard deduction, that alleviated a lot of that reporting requirement.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you don't have a report, it just means if it's done by December 1, 2022, when you report in December 2023, it's still December 22.
She has to report every April.
Right, that's done, and she can just put finalized.
It's not a very good portal, a very good website. But I already had the report, it was Ledgelight, and George's $600 because those checks were cut before April 1st. So I had to go in and put the expenditures and you don't have to put a lot of detail. So I put Ledgelight and just kind of their mission type of thing. And George as an advisor, I took those amounts and I didn't even have to put separate entry for it. Do you know what I mean?
Wow.
But they just wanted to check for reasonableness. So what I did for my records is when the auditors come to audit this, I don't know what they're going to look at, but what I have is, so for Ledgelight, I have everything we're going to spend. I have a copy of the check. I have a copy of
The request letter.
the request letter, their presentation here. I have a copy of the minutes where the Selectmen approved it, and the town approved it, and it's all Ledgelight.
Great.
But for any of these other businesses that are getting 10 grand, I think all I need, if I just get a list from,
I think that will work, but with the CI ones, you might
It's
do
gonna
that.
be-
A little different because that goes out over time.
well, right, because LMIC gets through a project that has, we're going to serve so many kids for a year and a half or whatever.
Yeah,
I think I got to get something
yeah.
For that window of time.
back to, I think we have to reasonably, go back to people saying, just give us, I don't know, metrics, or just something written to say what you've done, and
Well,
just something to.
a lot of grants
Yeah,
that
that's what I'm
we receive require a final report
Yeah.
or a mid-year report, or something like that.
We could look at Connecticut Humanities or something.
Like a
and
community
see.
foundation or
Yeah,
something like
what-
that. And I think
take
that,
their-
for example, these applications that are coming in are not necessarily a one-year application. They could be a multi-year application.
Right.
So we could determine that we need just some kind of update, annually or
Yeah.
until funds
And
are.
that, again, goes to your letter that would be written. You've been awarded X amount of dollars to perform this fill in the blank project. Please be advised that reporting.
It's a very common thing.
Yeah, reporting
Yeah.
requirements by 12/31 each year of your program operation will be required by the town of Old Lyme. And tie that with a bow and send it out. And then you've made them meet the floor for
If
you.
we didn't have the standard allowance, we'd be putting on
Oh, yeah.
a lot more detail.
It hurt just to read that.
On in there, not much better.
Yeah.
So, but like Mary said, it's like every other grant, it's like any other thing I do with every grant, reporting I do. So I don't think it's gonna be anything,
Cumbersome.
right? It's just, and I don't know, there's a lot of these names on the list, but a lot of them who are nonprofits, they're used to it, they know what they gotta provide, it's routine stuff, so. I guess it's just easy to do it, and I don't know that people be applying, or we be awarding money to people who, or organizations that aren't,
We did
you're gonna
that.
vet them out in your process of calibrating.
We did add that all grantees will be required to provide periodic grant reports.
Right.
So we kept it broad, but.
Right. And then it should be whatever the acceptance letter should just reiterate that. You know.
The other question I had regarding this, is some of these organizations aren't businesses per se, they're not registered with the Secretary of State. So I had that question, I guess it was yesterday, and they're in good standing based on how they're registered, for example, like a religious affiliation. So my response was to just give what we typically do for grants that we applied for before, and really to be able to manage that. But, they may not have to be registered the same way.
Well, I ran into,
501(c)(6).
yeah, I'm running into that a little bit with the departmental applications. You know, I assume this collective here knows that.
Why are you running it, you're doing this, community grant?
Well, there's some information that,
Right.
there's some information that doesn't apply because it's not in.
Right.
You know, so I just put non-applicable.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and then the folks that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing with it.
Are you doing every single one for everything for town government? Or some other people?
No.
Some other folks are doing it too, but I've got my little plate full. It's just,
Okay.
it's here.
Oh my God.
Good luck with punishment.
All right.
Not
What
till
else?
I second.
By the way, are there any, food allergies here that I need to consider for lunch? No peanuts, nothing, everybody's good with food allergies?
I'm not allergic to foie gras. Or
Chocolate, everybody like chocolate?
Or Veuve Clicquot.
Or Russian caviar.
Russian caviar, Veuve Clicquot, and foie gras.
Nothing to do.
Dave or
Might
Bears?
consider, Martha,
Yeah.
getting it from out of town, because if we're talking about applications for businesses in town.
Hey, this guy's real good.
Economic
He
development.
gets 10 grand.
All right, fine, 401.
No, yeah, definitely.
So we're missing Dave and Rick.
Dave
and Rick.
Dave and Rick. All right, so we've got a meeting schedule, we've got a deadline, we've got a special meeting date, we've got a PowerPoint date, we've got a George date, we've got our next date, we've got our long date, our final date for receiving the applications,
What's the party date?
the party date.
That's at your house, don't you?
July. That's
Sometime shortly after 6/27. I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Can we make a motion to adjourn?
Hang on.
Public
comment.
Oh, I'm sorry, public comment. Is there any public comment?
Yeah, I just have one question. Is the list of applications and/or the rubric public?
I don't see why the rubric shouldn't be public. I mean, we haven't,
My only question is, some submitted it already without the rubric. I have no reason why it shouldn't be public, but some people have already submitted without it and some are.
Public after
After.
May 2nd.
Right.
You can't
Right.
do it now, because then that would not be fair to the people
Who already
who
submitted?
haven't applied to see the rubric.
But Lenny,
My question is, the people who are on the board are writing grants based on the information they have.
well, good.
very, very good point.
But the rubric pretty much follows the application.
All it says is, did you answer this question? Did you answer this question
Yes or no?
completely or not?
I
Well,
understand that was just my question.
It's a good question, for sure.
It's just not done yet, we put the tab and key, and
Well,
it pretty much follows
It's done without the key.
pardon me?
The key isn't on there, otherwise it's done.
Yeah.
I don't know,
I would say it needs, this is just my opinion, for what it's worth. I think it stays in-house until it's done. And the reason for that is the meeting was open to public for folks to come in and sit in if they wanted to.
so he didn't see it, he's only heard us discuss it.
Huh? Well, no, I mean, to hear us discuss it.
Right.
I mean,
But we haven't made clear, even to ourselves, of how we're going to use that rating system to come up with how many dollars for this application.
right, I don't,
That's subjective.
we don't know that at this point until we get our application.
Until we
And then
get the whole deck of applications.
The other question you have is the list. The list is the ones submitted so far, you mean?
Yes, the information that was shared today.
The information that was shared today. the grants you've already received?
It feels like it shouldn't be public.
And eventually they'll all be public, but I don't think you want to do it.
No,
No,
no.
because it exposes other folks. You know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why
Nobody's
we-
seen it, except for the people on the committee, and even Tim and Matt haven't seen it.
Oh, that's true.
So it's not, it should.
It's a work in progress.
Right, this is just an update.
Final product.
And
Right.
I suppose. Okay.
I mean,
No, they're very good questions.
Well, it's like grants, right? When you write a grant, no one knows who's applied for the grant until
Right,
The awards are made.
the awards are
the awards are made.
And-
And at that point, that'll all be.
And then that's public knowledge. But
And this is, you know, we provided an opportunity for.
But they're finished.
Lenny, all I would say is if you are doing an application, if you follow the application exactly as it's laid out and answer each question completely, that is the rubric. I mean, I think that's fair to say.
I think it's more, the community grant is straightforward, because you're coming to the town to plan for something you have laid out. Whereas the economic recovery one is less, a little bit more interpretive, proposing.
but that's George's rubric.
No,
And we don't even have that. That's why we paid an outsider to do that. You know,
Eventually that will all.
that'll all be public once those awards are made as well.
So you're saying it's all going to be public on the 18th?
Well, no, there was a discussion, and even then, it's a discussion of,
Yeah.
I think this takes a lot more thought on what we're making,
I think. this
what
is a
days
work-
we're making certain things public.
Right. Once the awards are made in the selectmen's meeting, that's the reason for the selectmen's meeting, is to make the,
But then how are we talking about these in a public forum?
I
On the
I
18th.
have-
Just executive
I
Yeah.
I personally have a problem with that,
I do too.
because that's not how grants are awarded.
okay?
It isn't a public meeting, but to tell, I think we need to run that by town council.
Can we do that? Because
Yeah.
we need to be able to have honest
So
conversations.
you're talking about the big long meeting with lunch?
Anything where we're
Yeah.
talking about any of these
Yeah.
Right,
applicants.
once
Well,
these,
then the 11th with George as well?
Yeah.
yes. And I think at that point, with
Okay.
maybe it's private, you know, it's not a,
And we should, as part of that, say, okay, on whatever, June 15th, we're releasing this information. On June 27th, we're releasing this, like just have as well a calendar of when we're making.
well, the anticipated date, because you never know.
Right.
It should be an anticipated date for this is X, and then if we don't make that date, then it'll be next week or the week after. I mean, you want to be as transparent as possible, but a lot of
Absolutely.
people are giving you their private information, which is nobody else's business but the committee,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I think they have a right to privacy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is public information. I mean, it says it on every.
Right, I mean, we're not building.
But it's
Process. It's the
I know,
process.
we're not building nuclear missiles, but there's a process to this. And when we're done and they're awarded,
In our application, anything they submit is
Nuclear
considered
missile.
public information. Anyone can ask for it. Anyone can see it.
correct.
Okay, as long as everyone's.
Right.
aware.
But it's the conversation.
Discussion
Yes,
part.
depending on what our attorney
Yeah.
says, then we give it a code. Project A, or Project 1, whatever we decide. But we should, I think it's smart to run.
Well, yeah, I'm saying,
I looked at other towns, and they've handled it different ways. But for the overall, it's very public. And I don't.
and that's what we've tried to be.
And we absolutely have.
I do agree, but I also can see in some town meetings, not here, other towns where definitely decisions were made because the recommendation went, and there was no discussion of it in the previous meeting. So
And-
somebody made recommendations.
And Mary Jo, I mean, you just gave a good idea. You know, maybe we give them codes and we talk about them that way. But we can't just be sitting here talking about.
You'd figure it out immediately who it is,
I think it'd be
based
pretty
on
obvious.
We
what
need to have
project.
open and lively conversation
Yeah.
about the
They're
awarding
looking
of
for a
these.
pizza oven.
And the only way they can.
Company A is looking.
I mean, I get that.
We, as people discussing, would have to be, and I'm not gonna be doing much of the discussing, I'm just gonna be writing down the notes. But you would have to really think your words before. It would not be the pizza oven. You would have to say, I believe their project could benefit
Yeah,
the
and
community.
I think we've nuanced that, we would nuance this to death.
If you look at it like we've done grant meetings, but when we open bids, public bids, we name the company, we name what the bid is, and make sure it's, bid properly.
And so-and-so is the apparent low bidder.
There's some information that can be very public and should be public. It doesn't mean you have to get into the nitty-gritty at that meeting. But I think we should take that to the attorney and say what we need to say publicly, like it is like a bid opening.
Hi.
Lenny, also, no. Can you also shared with someone that you had insight or your own insight into why certain businesses weren't hearing about this. Did you have anything you could share about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, I've talked to probably 24 brick and mortar businesses, most in the food and beverage, industry. They're busy doing what they're doing every day. A lot of
Making money, hopefully.
Yeah, a lot of the people that are owners are either older and not necessarily tuned to the internet or Facebook or the website. There's people from, from Greece, from Mexico, from up Italy, from here. So it's like they might not be 100% in tune to the process and knowledgeable of some of that. Some people are kind of like, oh, we'll never get anything from the town of Line. Unfortunately, that's kind of a conversation that's long-standing, if you will, and that not understanding that came to event is a year. They have a committee they've been working on for a year, once it comes to June or July, it has to be given out, I'm not eligible, it's like, well, you made an application, they're eligible. I think it's just like,
Right.
if you will, things like that. And like you said, you guys have done very good job of trying, try.
Yeah.
So much, you can't put on page and say, hey, come do this.
Right. And you're just sharing what you picked up.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's,
You can't change.
The last 2 weeks, of that.
None of those comments are surprising or.
No.
Right. That's,
You guys are trying to get banners, trying to do more, but only took time to do.
And then would they see the banners?
Right.
yeah. And would it change your opinion?
I think some businesses will not apply because it's different when you get the PPE loan, you go to the bank and get awarded through that.
Yeah.
If my business did, and that's all private, but anything they submit here could be public, They don't want Phil to be talking about how much money cash they got in the bank and can they have, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's
That is very true.
Don't need it either.
And if I'm a business, my application, I want it to be considered by the collective. There has been a committee appointed to look at what I'm looking for. When they're done, you mentioned the bid process. When they're done with that, then I think this is, again, just my opinion. When they're done with that process, then I think there is an obligation to say that we awarded money, $10,000. We awarded Lyme News Services Bureau. I think there's an obligation. You fulfilled that obligation. And what was the process? By your awareness of the process comes from the fact that all this information was provided publicly for you to apply. And I think that once you meet that threshold, but I think free, open, and candid conversation about the applicants needs to be maintained because then you can arrive at the best decisions. You know, that's just my opinion for what it's worth.
I don't know. I mean, I make a request to the Board of Finance for something and it gets debated in public. You know, questions get asked in public and, you know.
And this is government, it's a
Confidential
little.
stuff tends to be leaked in a small town.
Tends to be
Leaked.
leaked, oh. But nothing really is confidential, honestly.
Yeah,
Nothing is confidential.
Yeah, nothing.
And those PPP loans, by the way, are public record and you can find them anywhere,
I mean,
so.
if you don't want it made public, you shouldn't apply. I mean, that's.
Right.
I
There's
guess,
that too.
I guess.
Well, she'll get an opinion from the attorney or from.
I think it's a good idea that gets opinion from the attorney, though.
Yeah, we'll know where we stand.
Okay.
And on that warm and fuzzy note, is there any more public opinion? Public conversation?
Comment?
I think we can,
Next meeting is still assignments?
What's that, Tom?
I said next meeting is still assignments,
Yep,
Yes.
24th?
yep, assignments and final count.
A week from today, right?
A week
Yeah,
from
welcome
today.
today.
So I will be talking to both Dave Roberge and Rick Stout, so I'll be happy to update them on the calendar.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I suggested putting it on.
And then you and I need to talk about the
The
key.
Yeah.
However, there is one item on the rubric which is a scale of 0 to 2,
Yeah.
just to throw you off.
And Mary, I wanted to say, you, on the rubric when I was looking at it just now, you have the organization name, but I think the project name should also be on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now we have to do the whole
You might have more than one, yes.
It's on a computer.
Great job,
Very
great job.
good job.
It was a good-
Okay.
It was a good group to work
Right.
with, and they did walk it well.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn is on the table.
second.
10 seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ear, nose, throat.
Mary, I want to give you a quick,
Now the fun begins.
It better be a good lunch.
update. Yeah, lunchtime. Just about some folks.
Thank you, madam.
Find them.
Thank you.
For not.
I have two.
18th is a big one. I know that we have
Not gonna be here Friday.
I'll be here Friday.
I'll send them.
tentatively 10 to 4. 10 to 4, we don't know.
Fluid. The last one was 10 to 4.
I need to forget, okay.
Yes, and chalk waters.
Find out.
Hi.
I cleaned that up a lot, you know. I took a lot of flack from my wife.
All right.
She said,
Martha? Yeah. Today.
Talking about those fiddler crabs last time. I forgot my daughter. There is a fence, or not a fence, there's a small bridge in the cemetery over there. If you go from the end of Elm Street and walk through the cemetery all the way to Lime Street, you cross that bridge. My daughter, who was a teenager at the time, was crossing that, and the thing was covered with these little crabs, and she was screaming. Supposedly because she didn't want to step on them, but
Funny.
see
ya.
Like they did. Beach thing. They can have a kid portfolio, go out and paint, give them lunch, they can give them paint for a day. I just think it's community involvement.
Yeah, yeah, and you gotta lose up a lot of. Why? Because it's how you.
Well, I can't say much because he let the guy that he's saying anything about it. Regardless, the building and the post office, the guy who bought the post office